Hello everybody, welcome back to 2DS Studios. I'm 2DS, and I want to give a special thanks to everyone that voted for this video on the poll. Spider-Man won by a very overwhelming majority, although it's not hard to see why. Peter is pretty amazing, spectacular even, and I think a big reason why is because of his costume. There's been a lot of Spider-Man redesigns over the past couple of years, and they all fall down similar trends. And I want to discuss a bunch of designs that fall under these trends and how they can be done very well and also very wrong. Starting with one of the most recent redesigns, Marvel Rivals. I haven't played Marvel Rivals, but I've heard really good things and I really love the art style. And the character designers love blonde snow bunnies. Spider-Man looks pretty cool in this game. He fits perfectly within the Marvel Rivals art style, and compared to his original design, this is definitely a big improvement. Spider-Man had a slightly different design when Marvel Rivals was announced, involving some really weird stuff with the arms and legs, like this weird boot pattern. Also, the back logo was black, which makes it a little hard to see sometimes for me, but they changed it to red on the final suit and added more webbing details, so it definitely looks a lot better. I think it's interesting how they really incorporated a lot of black on the suit. The front spider is really big and covers like pretty much the entire front part of the suit, and it also borders the back logo, which is really cool. On the original design, I didn't like how the back spider poked out of the blue segment, but I feel like the black border on the final design really improves on that, with it being red but still having that black border to kind of separate it, so it's able to stand out. I also like how the black borders off the blue parts on the shoulders and the legs. This design does something that a lot of modern designs do with Spider-Man, and that's getting rid of the sleeves. They also segment the belt, which is also really common. And for this design, it looks pretty good. Overall, a pretty solid looks that fits the look of Marvel Rivals. And a similar design that does this is the Insomniac suit. Funny enough, both Marvel Rivals and Insomniac Spider-Man are voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. The Insomniac suit looks really cool and is very unique because of the big ol' white spider, and other white accents such as the knuckle guards. I like that Insomniac went for an approach to this design that felt very practical, but still true to Spider-Man's classic design. In the story, his classic suit gets broken and needs repairs, so Peter gets this upgraded suit. I like how the red and white parts are raised kind of like armor, and the way the shoulder part of the sleeves are breaking up is kind of like shoulder pads. And for some reason he has like these weird bicep circles on the blue part. Yeah, another common trend with a lot of Spider-Man designs is adding a bunch of lines on the blue parts, which I'm a little iffy on. But the lines on the blue parts don't stick out like a sore thumb like some other designs. Remember I said that, it'll be on the quiz. Also, the colors on this make the red parts look really orange in the PS4 versions, but they fixed that later in the PS5 version and Spider-Man 2. Part of me does kind of wish that they had more red on the legs, because it's basically just an ocean of blue with like a little bit of red and white on like the bottom of the feet. I don't know if this is just a me thing, but the bottom part kind of reminds me of the Puma suede shoes. Overall, the design is still really good. And to wrap up the video games, we're going to be talking about Marvel's Avengers. Why is the logo colored in blue yet the legs are black on the front? Why not just leave it black? It just makes the logo way too complicated for no reason. Also, they got rid of the sleeves and the belt, like the other ones. Except for this one, they added a line where the belt was supposed to be on the blue part, so it looks weird. It makes the stomach part look like it comes too far up, making it look like Peter can't fit the suit anymore. Yeah, the people behind Avengers were not cooking. Also, more bicep circles for some reason. I do kind of like how the black borders kind of separate on the sleeves and the boots, and the colors look pretty nice, but the logos and the weird stomach belt section really hurt this one. I plan on talking about this game's designs in its own video at some point, but the best way I can describe it is that imagine the MCU suits but make a bootleg version from Wish.com. Now let's transition from video games to the TV shows and movies. Starting with the Ultimate Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2017 cartoons, where for the most part they keep it really basic. Both Ultimate Spider-Man and the 2017 Spider-Man cartoon don't really change the classic design too much. The movies are where they get really interesting. Starting with Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man 1. His suit in this movie is one of the biggest departures from the classic design. The suit is admittedly really divisive for Spider-Man fans, but in my opinion, I think it looks great. and it fits the darker, more vengeful story that they went with for The Amazing Spider-Man 1. At first, I feel like it doesn't really read as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but I feel like it's not supposed to. Peter spends a good chunk of the first Amazing Spider-Man movie bent on revenge for Uncle Ben's death, looking for his killer. So it makes sense that he would design a Spider-Man suit that's meant to be a little bit more intimidating. But when he has a bit of a character arc where he learns to become a hero with his powers, he gets a more friendly neighborhood-esque outfit in the second film, which looks absolutely amazing. We'll save that gem for another day. And now we get to move on to the real meat and potatoes of this video, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. MCU Spider-Man is pretty interesting because old Tommy Boy got a big old closet full of suits. Why did I call him Tommy Boy? And a new Tom Holland suit for the MCU is kind of like flipping a coin, because on one hand you could get one of the best Spider-Man redesigns, but on the other hand you can get some of the worst. And a lot of his designs have similar traits, both good and bad. Starting with the Homecoming suit, which is so close to being the perfect live-action classic suit, except for a few things. One, the panel lining on the blue parts is really noticeable and it sticks out like a sore thumb. And two is the black bands on the arms. I'm okay with the other black bands, like the ones on his boots and the web shooters. Heck, even the belt ones I'm cool with, since they're more practical, being like extra web canisters. That's actually a really cool touch. My problem is the ones on the sleeves, because they interrupt the web pattern. Because you have this classic Spidey web pattern with the sleeves, but then you just have these thick-ass bands in the middle breaking up the pattern. It feels like they couldn't commit to either leaving the sleeves alone, or like having the all-blue sleeves like an Ultimate Spider-Man, so they ended up with this really weird middle ground. And it sucks because this suit really is so good. But in Far From Home, they fixed that by making the colors red and black so the panel lining doesn't stick out as much, and by giving his sleeves a cool fingerless glove look. The black and red color combo in Far From Home is gorgeous. It's my favorite suit. Literally one of the greatest redesigns ever. And then they completely on it in No Way Home. Why? Why did Marvel make this bullshit? I really hope I don't get a copyright strike for this. I hate this design for so many reasons. One, it takes one of my favorite Spider-Man designs and makes it super over-designed and complicated, which was the exact opposite of the Far From Home suit. And two is that it has no point in the story. And three is that in the final scene in No Way Home, when you see Toby, Tom, and Andrew teaming up, you see Toby and Andrew in their classic outfits, and then you got Tom who looks like they're making my boy look bad. But No Way Home made up for their sins with the finale suit. This thing is perfect. Classic red and blue, no over-designing, just pure OG Spider-Man. I accidentally forgot to put this in the video game, so we're going to be talking about Midnight Sun Spider-Man. And I gotta say, this thing is pretty ugly. The lenses look really oddly shaped to me, or, you know, I don't even think it's the shape. I think they look like a little too high up of the face. So it kind of looks like, you know, those cartoony aliens. Somehow it looks more alien than the alien suit. I feel like if they like made them like stretch down a little bit more like Todd McFarlane, they would look better. Also, the way they like segment the red parts is like really weird because they have like these triangle-y like divots in the suit. Also, they segment the belt from the front and the back, so it's not really even a belt, it's just like two random arches on his hips. Then I don't really like the logo. I feel like the logos on this one are just too small. Like they don't really shape his body like other Spider logos do. It's like a bootleg Iron Spider logo almost. Funny how I compare this to the alien suit, because the symbiote suit is actually in Midnight Suns and it's a one-to-one with the comics. Why change the classic suit but not the symbiote suit? Like, it just feels kind of inconsistent to have this really drastic redesign and then just a super faithful adaptation. And I think this is a great jumping off point to discuss the Spider-Man redesign problem.
He said it! He said it!
After going through all these alternate designs for Spider-Man, it's safe to say that there's a lot of trends, specifically involving redesigns from the 2010s and onward, such as cutting the sleeves, cutting the belt, black bands in between the red and blue portions, adding extra panel lines on the blue sections. And I think a big reason why these trends really caught on is because of the success and popularity of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. and how Marvel focuses very heavily on brand synergy. So a lot of the weaker designs kind of look like they were redesigned, not because they had a genuine want to redesign them or for a specific story they wanted to tell, and more so because it felt like a mandate from studios saying, alright, you gotta redesign Spider-Man so it looks like this. And with how infamous the MCU is for over-designing with panel lines and stuff, they just think, alright, slap some panel lines, black bands or whatever, boom, new Spider-Man design. My problem is that with this design formula, it kind of takes away from the uniqueness of Spider-Man redesigns. Like, think about the comics or other characters besides Peter Parker. So many unique designs that fit these characters, like Miguel O'Hara, Noir Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, that when all these redesigns follow the same formula of cutting up the sleeves and adding blue stuff, it just ends up repeating the cycle of unoriginal designs that just copy each other's homework while making it extremely obvious. One of my favorite YouTubers, Godzilla Mendoza, put it better than I could in a million years.
Everyone's talking about the war on Christmas. I want to talk about the war on Spider-Man's sleeves. Almost every time we've seen them for the last decade, they've been segmented with black or blue lines or omitted entirely. There's an argument to be made about modernizing superhero costumes, like taking the trunks off Batman or Superman, but why is this completely benign design element recently accrued such vitriolic ire and hatred from every concept artist from here to Timbuktu? Every goofy asshole with an art degree and a drawing tablet thinks they're completely reinventing the wheel by slicing up this part of the suit like it's a bold new choice that's never been done before, and then proceed to jerk themselves off with their newly minted, overwhelmingly blue abomination as the checks from Sony and Marvel roll in. What's the reasoning? Is it because the webs on his biceps are hard to draw when he bends his elbows and everyone's gotten lazy? Bunch of hashtag restore Spider-Man sleeves. Why would you remove the belt if you were going to just put big lines on it to imply where the belt should be? Doesn't that, like, contradict the whole point of removing it? All you're doing is drawing attention to the fact that it's not there. By having it cut this way, it looks like the red part starts too far up his belly and it gives the impression the suit doesn't fit properly. Your big idea on how to reinvent the most iconic superhero costume was to make it seem like he was too tall for it?
I mean, the problem isn't that it looks bad, except for the times where it does look bad, but mainly the problem I have with this modern design philosophy is that when every single design does this, it stops feeling unique. And it's not like redesigning Spider-Man is a new thing. There's been millions of redesigns across the comics. I mean, this character's been around for like over half a century. But if you're going to redesign a classic character like Spider-Man, at least try to do something unique or actually have a valid reason other than just for the sake of being different as opposed to being good. Or just don't change the costume at all. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. My big problem is that some of these redesigns are too scared to stray away from the classic suit. So when they just barely change the design, it makes you wonder, what was the point in changing it if you could just have the classic suit? Like with Marvel's Avengers, they made a bootleg version of his MCU costume when they already had a classic suit in the game that looked fine. Meanwhile, other Spider-Man redesigns like the PS4 game and Spider-Man Far From Home, and the Amazing Spider-Man movies redesigned Peter's costume to reflect his character. Like with Amazing Spider-Man, they changed it to a more darker theme to fit the darker tone of the first movie. Or with the PS4 game and the MCU, they changed his design to be a little more techy to kind of show how Peter upgrades his suits over time. Overall, my big thing with Spider-Man redesigns is, if they're gonna change it, don't be scared to change it too much. That and just try to make a design that actually looks good and fits whatever story you're trying to tell with Peter. Or any other Spider-Man. That, and sometimes it's best to just leave the classic suit alone. There's a reason why it's lasted this long after all. I would rather have a redesign that tries to be different and looks good than a slightly worse version of what we've already seen before, if that makes sense. Also, stop putting so many panel lines around his butt, for God's sake.
What you doing out here with all this ass? Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon, hella ass, the sun is still out.
Okay, I think I've been yapping your ears off for long enough. Thank you all so much for watching this video, it means a lot. If you want to see more Spider-Man videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe. What's your favorite costume redesign for Spider-Man? Put it in the comments below. And don't forget to follow my socials to stay up to date for new videos and other updates. It's also where I post all my drawings, like this. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. This has been 2DS Studios, and until next time, stay tuned and stay cool.